Some television shows instantly grasp you, pulling you into the darkest and most unusual stories that captivate your attention. Since the first episode aired in 1987, Unsolved Mysteries has grabbed audiences with stories of psychic phenomena, true crime, and alien abductions. Over the decades, Unsolved Mysteries has introduced viewers to unbelievable and compelling stories, whether they're part of the Netflix reboot or relayed by the legendary Robert Stack. These stories have stuck with viewers for years, sometimes decades after they first aired. Let's dive into 10 stories shared on Unsolved Mysteries that leave you wondering and send you down a rabbit hole of research. Unsolved Mysteries' 1997 segment on spontaneous human combustion remains one of its most popular and most perplexing. One of the 3 stories covered in the episode centers around a woman named Kay Fletcher from Stowe, Ohio. On the morning of February 16, 1996, Kay believed for a moment that she was on fire when smoke began billowing from her sweater. Kay's husband, Mike, examined Kay's back for burn marks, but could only see that it was red in the area where the smoke first appeared. Beginning around 3 in the morning on August 7, 1994, gelatinous blobs began raining from the sky across a 20-square-mile area in Oakville, Washington. These showers occurred 6 times over the next 3 weeks, leaving residents puzzled as to why this jelly-like substance was falling from the clouds. The Oakville blobs, as they're now known, subsequently turned out to be quite dangerous. Individuals who touched the fallen blobs became extremely sick, and local wildlife began dying off. Testing showed the blobs contained white blood cells, as well as 2 types of bacteria. They also contained the eukaryotic cell, which indicated the blobs had been alive at one time. This revelation led to speculation that Navy bomb testing near the area had killed a school of jellyfish, whose remains flew up into the sky. However, the theory is extremely unlikely. Many who lived through the Oakville blobs ordeal believe they were part of biological warfare testing, which is why they made people and animals so sick. No further testing can be conducted on the blobs, as the last samples were destroyed years ago. In 1976, school bus driver Mary Gillespie began receiving letters in the mail that threatened to expose an alleged affair between her and the school superintendent. Soon after, Mary's husband, Ron, also began receiving letters. On August 19, 1977, Ron left the couple's home, apparently to go after the individual writing these letters, but Ron ultimately died in a car crash. Although Ron's cause of death was considered accidental, some suspected foul play. Further investigation also revealed Mary was indeed having an affair with the superintendent. In 1983, derogatory signs about Mary Gillespie began appearing along her bus route. When she attempted to remove one of them, she found it was rigged to fire a gun. This gun turned out to belong to Ron's brother-in-law, Paul Fresher. Fresher denied being the Circleville letter writer, but did go to prison for the crime. Then, something even more bizarre took place. Letters began appearing again, including letters sent to Fresher. Fresher was eventually paroled in 1994 and maintained his innocence until his death in 2012. Suspects in the case include a coworker who may have been obsessed with Mary, Ron's sister, and the school superintendent's son. Although no one knows the Circleville letter writer's true identity, it's worth noting that Unsolved Mysteries actually received a postcard telling them not to air their episode about the case. In 1946, a psychic told Coral Pulge that she would one day be a famous psychic artist. Pulge later discovered she could draw portraits of dead people she had never seen before. In the 1990 episode of Unsolved Mysteries featuring Pulge, photographer Peter Cook explained how he visited Pulge in 1984 and asked her to draw portraits of his mother and grandmother. Cook's mother, Emily, died 6 years prior in 1978, and his grandmother, Minnie Rose, passed away over 2 decades before in 1962. Despite never knowing these women, or even seeing photos of them, Coral Polge drew extremely accurate portraits of them. Side-by-side comparisons of the portraits and photographs of the women were eerily similar. Coral Polge went on to draw pictures of countless other deceased loved ones until her death in 2001. Polge claimed the deceased people's spirits helped her with her drawings. She was somehow also able to provide detailed information about each person's life. No one was ever able to determine how Polge developed this extraordinary gift. On February 24, 1983, Don Decker attended the funeral of his grandfather, who abused him throughout his childhood. Decker was on furlough from the local jail to attend the funeral and said he felt a dark energy surrounding him for the duration of the service. After the funeral, Decker stayed with friends, who claimed they saw scratches appear on Decker's arms out of nowhere. Decker also went into a trance-like state, during which time he had disturbing visions. Strangest of all, water began dripping from the ceiling, even though there was no plumbing in the area. When Decker returned to prison, reports claim he used newfound telekinetic powers to make rain fall in both his cell and the warden's office. An exorcism was eventually performed and seemed to release whatever entity was causing Decker's strange behavior. While many are skeptical of Decker's case, 9 people, including 4 police officers, have vouched for Don Decker's seemingly supernatural powers. On August 20th, 1976, 4 men believe they were abducted in the woods of Allagash, Maine, in what became known as the Allagash abductions. Brothers Jack and Jim Werner, along with friends Chuck Rack and Charlie Foltz, were on a camping trip when they noticed bright lights in the sky on August 18th. The lights reportedly hovered for about 30 seconds before suddenly disappearing. The night of August 20th, the 4 men were on a boat when the light returned and reportedly began chasing them. The next thing the men claimed to remember was waking up on the shore, realizing they had lost hours of time. In 1988, the Werner brothers began having nightmares about alien abduction. Through hypnosis, all 4 men remembered being abducted back in 1976. Although the case has never been officially solved, Chuck Rack came forward in 2016 to reveal the whole story was fabricated, except for the unexplained lights in the sky. Since 1970, thousands of people worldwide have described a low humming noise only they can hear. The sound has been compared to the running of a diesel engine or like air is sizzling. The sound can cause pain and distress, and has even led to some people quitting their jobs and going on disability. This low humming sound is commonly referred to as Taos hum, since it is most frequently reported in and around Taos, New Mexico. There are also a number of cases reported along the Pacific coast of the United States, leading some researchers to wonder if the sound is produced by waves hitting the stony bottom of the ocean floor. Another popular theory is that the sound is caused by the extremely low-frequency radio system used by Navy forces across the globe to communicate with submarines. However, this theory has not been proven. Lieutenant Ernest Stewart Cody and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams were operating a military blimp known as L-8 when it unexpectedly crashed near San Francisco on August 16, 1942. When rescuers arrived at the crash site, Cody and Adams were nowhere to be found. Investigators suspected they parachuted out of the blimp until they discovered all the parachutes were still on board. The story of the ghost blimp quickly took on a life of its own with theories both reasonable and far-fetched. The Navy's official theory was that the men fell out of the blimp while trying to fix some sort of mechanical error. Other explanations included the men being involved in a love triangle and one killing the other before evacuating the blimp, as well as the theory that a potential third person on board attacked the men, then parachuted to safety. Bill 8's last communication came at 7:42 in the morning, although the blimp didn't crash until after 11. In this communication, Cody stated they were investigating an oil slick in the water, which may have come from a Japanese submarine. This information led some to believe the men were taken down by the Japanese military, but this theory was never substantiated. Whatever the cause of the apparent mishap, Cody and Adams were never seen or heard from again after that August day in 1942. In July 2020, Netflix's rebooted version of Unsolved Mysteries presented the Berkshire UFO as one of its first cases. On September 1st, 1969, multiple people, including several children, witnessed a UFO flying over Berkshire County, Massachusetts. A 10-year-old boy named Tom Warner recalled playing at a friend's house and hearing a strange, disembodied voice tell him, "You need to go home now." As Tom left his friend's house, a beam of light came down from the sky and enveloped him. His friend later recalled seeing Tom run in place, trapped in the beam of light, before suddenly vanishing. Tom Warner, along with 12-year-old Melanie Kirchdorfer, remember being on board the UFO with some other children. Melanie claimed she was abducted, then woke up by a lake near her home, having only a vague memory of being on the ship. Another witness named Tom Reed reported being abducted while driving with his family at night. Tom said their car was suddenly filled with bright light, as if it were daytime before his family was abducted. When the family returned to their car, they realized 3 hours had passed, although Tom estimated they had only been on the ship for 15 minutes. Tom and Tom were bullied after telling classmates about their experiences. Only in adulthood did witnesses to the Berkshire UFO begin discussing the incident with one another and verify each other's stories. In 1984, someone began burglarizing the home of Dorothy and Bill Wacker, an older couple living a quiet life in Stark County, Ohio. The burglaries escalated to violence when an unknown man knocked Dorothy unconscious when he appeared on her doorstep, asking to use the telephone. Although Dorothy suffered no serious injuries, the couple could no longer deny someone was after them. In the following years, the Wackers heard strange banging on the sides of their home, and handwritten notes would appear on their front porch. The stalker also called the Wackers to either threaten them or breathe deeply into the phone without saying a word. On October 27, 1993, Dorothy was once again attacked, and her injuries were severe enough to warrant a hospital stay. As a result, the Wacker family held a stakeout at the house in an effort to catch the stalker. They later found a note on the front porch that read, "Get the picture," which meant whoever was stalking the Wackers bypassed everyone on the stakeout. After that, the Wackers never heard from their stalker again. Bill and Dorothy Wacker died respectively in 1999 and 2010, never learning the true identity of the person who terrorized them for nearly a decade. First and foremost, thank you for listening and for your continued support on the channel. It is so deeply appreciated, and I greatly enjoy connecting with every one of you. If you enjoyed these stories and want to hear more unnerving tales, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Share this video with your friends and comment below. Which of these eerie tales gave you the creeps and chills? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section.